MWC this year was quite fascinating, not only because it was my first year, but also I felt like the tech world just united in Europe between US and Asia Tech and Europe Tech. And I felt like MWC was quite exciting because of all these, and I've seen some stuff that I have never seen in my life before. I mean, we already know about the foldable phones, but have you seen that Trifold laptop? The Lenovo laptop was quite fascinating. Yes, it's still a concept, but I thought it was fascinating because it kind of looks like a bigger version of a phone. Like the Huawei Trifold phone was also there, and it kind of reminded me of that, but this is a laptop. And I was like, what? I could get my hands on it? And at first, I was a little scared. One, being a concept, two, being a trifold, massive screen, right? I mean, here are the specs right here, and it's incredible. Like, I still can't believe how big it is, and it's quite incredible how I got to see it in person. I felt like with Lenovo, they always do above and beyond, because I've seen things at IFA, which was last year, and this year CES is like continuously as I see Lenovo. Something about Lenovo laptop is quite fascinating, and the concepts, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is concept, but like at CES, they rolled it out, a real, literally rolling screen laptop. And when I see all this, I'm just like fascinated. I mean, that was just beginning of what I saw in MWC. So another trend we saw over here was actually the Ozempic phones. I mean, we're talking about thin of the thin of the thinnest, right? We originally saw the concept phone S25 Edge at Unpacked, but now we just saw Tecno Spark Slim phone, which is being compared to the S25 Edge phone. Now at MWC, I actually saw both. They look quite thin, like paper thin. You know, when you like turn it to the side, like I couldn't see it. Like, it was very difficult for me to even capture it on screen because of how thin it was. And that, I think, was quite impressive. Both Tecno and S25 Edge phones are very cool. So we're seeing the trend over here. Yes, smart slim phone has been a thing for a while, but I feel like it's coming back trend, but maybe with a bigger screen. I think people still love that big screen and like just adding a touch of slimness. But here's a problem that I'm starting to see is the specs that are being leaked is saying that, I mean, if the battery is not as strong as a typical phone, doesn't matter if it's thin? I don't know. So there's that question going back and forth. But speaking of slim phones, now we're talking about the foldable phones over here. Oppo Find N5, it's one of the phones that I also have hands on, and it's insanely thin how it is when it's a foldable phone. The thinness of the Oppo Find N5 versus the iPhone 16 Pro Max, when Find N5 is folded versus 16 Pro Max being on its own, not being a foldable, it's kind of crazy. I just can't believe how thin it could get. And then we add in Huawei Trifold, and it's super thin. I mean, come on, how thin can you get? And then when it opens up, it's like almost like a mini tablet. And for the case of the Trifold, it's as big as a tablet size. And you're just like mind blown because it looks like it's something used to be like an origami style, and that's actually a tech working phone. So MWC, if you don't know, MWC stands for Mobile World Congress, which means it's a show that shows a lot of phones. But what I didn't realize is that there's much more than just phones. Yes, there's cool phones launching and is a show specifically for phones, but I even saw a car there. I saw Xiaomi's SU7, or you could call it SU7, that's how it's pronounced. And it's an EV that accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers in 1.98 seconds. Now, that's world-breaking record because as of now, most of the EVs, I'm told that it takes about 3 to 4 seconds to accelerate. So that's an incredible speed, and that's incredible amount of power coming from a phone company. Like, you just get mind blown. Like, I feel like Xiaomi really just has it figured out how to make everything cohesive with one another, and that's why they work well together. And you're just like, this was supposed to be a phone company, but now they make cars? I mean, what else is out there? And it starts making you wonder, like, what else is at MWC? So pretty much my expectation of MWC was that it was just going to be phones. But what I realized, it's more like a miniature version of CES, and CES is massive. Like, there's no way you could go through everything in a day. And MWC, I didn't think you could do it as well, but it's more concise. And what I realized is that it's small enough that you could go over and over. If you miss something, you could go into each corners and check it out. And that's why I like the most. And I think in terms of venue in Barcelona, they did a good job because it was easy to get a shortcut to go somewhere from A to a B point. And I had no problem finding my way there. Also, the fact that I had a great guide over there. Overall, it was just a fascinating trip. We're in the United States over here, so we don't have a lot of access to Chinese phones and Asian phones in general. And I think one of the phones that I really got into is Realme this year. And Realme is a phone that I have never seen in person before, and I didn't know how cool they were. And we're talking about a mid-price range phones, and like that's not even sold here. It's not even popular to talk about here yet in the United States. And being able to see it in person and just seeing how immaculate the craftsmanship is, even for a mid-range phone, was quite amazing. Because usually flagship phones are like superior phones, and this is the marketing one that's like expensive, and this is the desired phone. However, I felt like these phones did not lack at all. So for example, Realme 14 Pro Plus is a phone that got launched, and if you haven't seen my content, go have it watch, because it literally turns blue. And I'm just like, what? So when it touches the cold surface, the phone will turn blue. Now, because it has an IP68 rating, which means that it has water resistance, that you could dunk your phone in water and it won't get ruined. It was quite incredible to see my phone turning blue. And who doesn't love a magic trick like that? To be honest, I live in Arizona. You're not gonna see a lot of cold temperature here, but I was just talking to a friend today and she was telling me how in Canada, like you just walk outside and your phone will just turn blue because of the snow. And that was quite cool to know that and to discuss that. Realme also showed a concept phone which has a telephoto lens. It's called Realme Ultra. I got my hands on it while my friend Matt was modeling for me, and it was a different experience because when you talk about phone, you just think about phone that just works on daily basis and maybe a little cute photo lens that might go with your phone, but this was different. The camera lens was heavy and it was actually compatible with the Leica lenses, which is a legitimate camera company. Leica sells like cameras that cost like $20,000, and which is kind of crazy. So it felt like a DSLR combined with the cell phone. So I almost felt like it was like a really thin phone, like really thin camera with a lens. And I felt like, oh, like I would love hands on this. I mean, for me, that wouldn't be in my main phone, but it would be like a camera or like a DSLR camera replacement for me, because I just don't like how bulky big DSLR camera is. Anyway, so that was really cool. I just enjoy seeing everything. I think Realme really blew my mind. I know that before you even say anything about Xiaomi already having a replica, or Xiaomi was the first one, yes, I'm pretty sure. But for me, Realme was the first place that I actually got my hands on to see this telephoto lens. So that was really fascinating for me, okay? And Realme was also a cool brand because every of these mid-range to higher range phones, like we don't have access to in the United States, we actually got to play with them. We got to hear from the brand reps directly of everything. Where else can I go than MWC for it? There's also more scenes than just phones and cars. There was also robots. And we're talking about a robot, like it was kind of surreal because the robot was like a human-sized robot. In a way, it was slightly cool. In another way, it was a little creepy. And I mean, maybe I'm dating myself, but it felt like more like the robots that come out from iRobot, how it's shown in the movie. And it really felt like end of the world level of, no, never mind. I don't think it was end of the world level, but I felt like those props were coming to life on the show floor. And this was fascinating for me because I don't see these robots on a daily basis, nor have I seen it on the show floor where it actually walks around, waves, shakes my hand, and know that it's me shaking its hand. So that was really cool. And I almost missed it, but we were just able to find this so quickly right by another booth, and this booth, MWC navigating, was pretty cool. It was pretty. With that said, like, Honor also had a really cool robot, and pretty much this is also a working concept, and this is why I find it fascinating, because Honor is also known to be a phone company and had a robot hand. So I'm a little bit of a Marvel fan, and Iron Man hand kind of look-alike was like right there. So it was pretty much a robotic hand, and it could mimic your gesture. So there's a camera that watches, and then it mimics the gesture based on what it watches. So if I would make a high five to hello waving, or like a peace sign, thumbs up, it would do all these different gestures. Even when I did waves like this with my fingers, it was able to catch on very quickly. So that was also fascinating. I don't know, I feel like MWC overall was really cool experience, and I saw a lot of things. It's more of a smaller show floor than CES, but I felt like it was still different than what I saw at CES. CES was like boom, bam, boom of like different, all sorts of gears, gadgets of sort, and MWC was still that, but much more phone focus, and which what I liked because it had a much more central focus. Now CES is something that we go every year because there's so much to see, but I always leave regretting that I didn't get to see everything. Whereas like MWC this year, I felt like I saw enough that I knew what I wanted to see, and I knew what was important for me to see and for me to share with you guys, and I just felt like it was more of a vibe. Yeah. Definitely. And I had some downtime. I got to hang out with my friends there, and I got to meet new friends there and new brands. So that was quite exciting. And all in all, it was a great trip. So that concludes my recap for MWC 2025. And I've seen so many stuff, but I realized that there's so many more coming. So make sure to tune in with me, and I'll keep you updated with all the tech reviews, tips, and tricks. Talk soon. Bye!